Good evening. I'd like to welcome everybody tonight to our regular December school board meeting. We were previously in closed session and we are now meeting into open session. With that, I'd ask for all of those who are able to please stand and join me in the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And we will start off tonight with Spotlight on Education with our middle school and high school tech ed presentation.
All right, Kirsten Connor's here. She's going to talk about a little gift for all of you and a donation. She's going to talk about that too.
Correct. Yes.
Here we go.
I'm going to have Chase and Cade hand these out. Caden hand these out for you. Do both of you want to kind of talk about the process that you had to go through in order to make these?
First, we started by making the 2-inch strips of walnut and the 1/4-inch strips of oak. And then putting those together and come down to about 2 or 3 inches wide to make it stand up. And then we cut in our 1/4-inch piece to go in between them all and just started gluing. And it ended up like that.
And how many class periods did it take the two of you to do this?
Took about 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Is there just you two that did this, or?
Yeah, mainly, yeah. A couple other kids helped when we weren't there, but yeah.
This is amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, really cool.
I don't know, Tracy, if you can get these, but wow, these are absolutely phenomenal.
And they have a couple different uses.
You
Yes, very, very good.
oil?
Yes, we did 2 coats of butcher block oil.
Butcher block oil. Those are intricate.
Wow, they're extremely beautiful. Wow, you guys did a great job. Thank you. I certainly didn't expect that. It's not very often I'm at a loss for words. But
Wait.
I'm kind of at a loss.
What do you want?
Sorry about that.
Well, I guess the reason that we chose to do this for you is because when students walk into the tech ed classroom in the 6th grade class, they get to make cutting boards. So it's just that basic cutting board and just gluing a few boards together and getting the concepts down and understanding the tools. And then when they walk in for intro to woodworking, they get that next level of approach where they're making a bedside table and then they make a pedestal table with a lathe. But this is like, we wanted to take it to the absolute next level and show that our students are not only learning those beginner skills, but they're taking those beginner skills and building on them, whether they're in the middle school or the high school. So this was both of these students taking that to the next level and watching a lot of YouTube videos and looking at different designs and saying what could we take that we learned at the middle school and that we've taken those steps, but taking that and taking it to the next level. So that's kind of what we wanted to accomplish. Or do you have anything else to say?
Just that we've been doing this and we've also been doing our own projects. Like I've been trying to make a river table. I'll pour the epoxy sometime within the next week before Christmas. And I think Kane's been working on like a vanity.
Yeah, I was
desk.
working on a vanity out of butcher block pieces. I think it's like 35 inches tall by 42, with multiple shelves. And then I built a fish tank table for a 55-gallon fish tank out of the butcher block too.
Cool.
What grades are you?
We're both sophomores.
Sophomores.
Well, I can't wait to see the pictures on social media that I'll bet you will be out there somewhere after you guys get these projects done. So very, very nice. Great job. Great workmanship, guys.
And Kirsten, if you wanted to talk about that donation, this is
Sure.
a great time to do that.
Oh, yeah. So we also have these. I didn't want to leave the middle school out, and I know we just we changed over a couple of weeks ago, and they're just not at the point of moving into the tech ed area yet. They're doing their agriculture stuff first before they move in. So I had the 8th graders make all of you Christmas cards today, and they were very excited to be able to do that. And they just wanted to send their gratitude and appreciation, not just only for the school board members, but also for everybody that's sitting in this room, because I feel like it's very important. We work as a cohesive unit, and we know that there's a lot of time that you spend here, in not only in this room, but advocating in our community, advocating in our schools. You also go to probably other meetings outside of these meetings, whether they're 4-H meetings, FFA alumni meetings, town board meetings, but you're always advocating for our district. So we just wanted to show our appreciation in different ways, shapes, and forms today.
Well, that's really awesome, but this is definitely student driven. The students are what makes these programs work. Our teachers are what makes these programs work. And without you guys, we wouldn't be advocating on behalf of those opportunities. And as long as there's interest and you guys are building the interest, and you know, it's really like students like you guys too that are out there doing those really cool projects, and then other kids see those cool projects and they're like, wow, that's really awesome, and that generates interest. And so it's honestly a cohesive collaboration down there, so it's job well done for everybody.
Yeah, and then I guess since we're here tonight, we want to talk about the donations and grants portion right now while the tech ed department is here. So we were very fortunate enough to get the Mississippi Welders Supply Grant, and that was brought to the school I think it was last week, wasn't it? Last week was when it was.
Friday.
Yeah, last Friday, thank you. It's been a blur. But I know both of you were in the room when we were able to have that award presented, and then Josh was also there when they came. One of the cool aspects I thought about this is that one of the people that were on the board that were able to come to this presentation was Troy Elmer, and he was a 1989 graduate of Amery High School. So I thought that was kind of fun to have a full circle thing come back, and then someone that actually graduated from our district was able to come and present that award to us. So when we look at this, there were over 70 applicants this year, and there were only 3 districts selected. So I thought that we were very fortunate to get this grant and to apply this. And this is going to be going into Josh Gange's classroom. So it's a Hypertherm Power Max plasma cutter. And Hypertherm is like a business that only does power or plasma cutters. So that is their specialty. So it's really great that Mississippi Welding works with them in order to do this, because it's like, if you specialize in one thing, it's what you're good at, right? So this plasma cutter, and then we also got a shield helmet, and then we also got an air filter that we can use in the classroom, and this package was valued at about $4,000. So to bring that in and have all of these students being able to be there for that presentation, and we only had one plasma cutter in the shop as of right now, and we get to add that second one in. So when Josh has larger classes and has more students that need to be doing that plasma cutting, they're going to be using top of the line equipment, which is great.
Very cool. Yeah. Congratulations to our very own Mrs. Condor as well for your Farm Bureau win.
Oh yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
She's out there hustling.
I just want to say this grant isn't the first grant that she's written for us and that we've been awarded. But she hadn't even started. In the summer, we were getting grants that she had written and been awarded from everything, even down to like flag football equipment. So she's written a ton of grants and just been a real big asset to both of our schools. And I've been very excited to be able to take our tech ed program, but then hybrid it a little bit so that kids are getting some ag and some tech ed. They really work together in really cool ways anyway. And so the kids are having a great experience. Kudos to all your work.
Yeah, well, and thank you, all of you, for being flexible with me too, because obtaining a tech ed, an ag ed, and a biology license, I can be versatile in many ways, shapes, and forms, but I'm very gracious that you're allowing me to just do what I want to do and run and fill out grants and be there for the students and let these students just run with what their passions are too. So I'm very happy to be here at Amery, and I'm excited to see what I can do here in the future for our students as well.
Thanks for joining the team.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, guys. These are amazing. Thank you. Any other questions for the guys? All right, we can let them go.
Okay, well, thank you much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I didn't expect that tonight. That's extremely cool. That's very, very cool.
The other spotlight on education, we have a myriad of data points, if you will, on how the school district is connected to charitable organizations. What you see here are just but a few, and we could go on, and things are happening unannounced and anonymously throughout the year, as you know. But these are the ones that we have decided to highlight here this evening, and some of them are thematic to the holiday season. The first of which is the Salvation Army Backpack Program, and I'm going to have the administrative team help you with some of these items. This program provides weekend food for hungry students who get free or reduced price school lunches, stocking backpacks with meals, snacks and milk coupons, so kids are ready to learn on Monday. And Salvation Army Backpack Program has been up and running for quite some time. So I'm not sure if anyone wanted to share.
I'd like to chime in on that one.
Go ahead.
So this is a program that is thriving. How it kind of works is families choose to sign up and it gets sent home with the youngest student. So a lot of it's coming out of my building. And they come in and they go home every Thursday. One thing that I was really impressed with the Salvation Army is when the SNAP program funding was suspended for some time, we actually reached out to them ahead of time and asked, can you double your donations? And can we send not only things home on the weekends, but can we send stuff during the weekday as well? And we're able to pair that with some other charitable donations within the school system. So we were able to, when families were in their highest moments of need, we were sending home 3 different meal packs a week, 2 of which provided by the Salvation Army, another one provided by various donations, and that helped our families out when funding was suspended at their most highest moments in time. So I was really impressed with that program, that they were able to step up so quickly.
I would also just add that, we try our best to, maintain anonymity,
Absolutely.
to maintain discretion.
Yep.
The Salvation Army program is just, they're so good at doing that, and it's a very straightforward process. It's very easy. You just basically have to pick up and call. And I do like to just remind people that, we are, as a district, we are somewhere always in the 40% range for free and reduced families. So it is absolutely a program that fills a huge void and a huge gap.
And speaking of that gap, moving on to apparel, the Knights of Columbus coats for kids. This program distributes free, new, gently used coats and other winter wear for local children in need. Distribution takes place again at the elementary. That's where the need is the highest. We do this typically in the month of October, and we run through a lot of apparel for a lot of kids, because there are kids that are in need. I'm not sure if you wanted to speak
Yeah,
to that
absolutely.
at all. Go ahead.
So this was my first year getting to see one of these actually in action. I've heard about them, but actually see one in action. So when you think about the elementary cafeteria, and you think about all those lunch tables that house all those students, imagine them stockpiled with coats and boots and snow pants, ranging anywhere from the size down to 6 months all the way through adults. And people just leaving with literally, there was no other way for them to carry them besides taking giant garbage bags full of clothing home for their families. And not a single person was turned away, and that building was the busiest I've ever seen it after school. People were just coming in left and right, and everything was gone. There was very few items left. So our families are taking advantage of these things and making sure that their kids are safe and warm during the winter time, and this is a wonderful partnership.
The third partnership that we have here is Secret Santa. We're right in the middle of it, if you will. In partnership with our local ministerium, this program provides district families in need with assistance with Christmas gifts for their children. This year, 62 sponsors provided gifts for 210 kids from 80 different families. So there is big need here, and there are folks stepping forward for that time.
So I know, my wife used to be really, really involved with this when she was at the elementary school. And, Jim and Linda Kuchenmeister have been instrumental in making this happen. Kelsey and Howie Monteith, Kelsey is really making things happen with that. So there's so many different people that are out volunteering and working with the churches and there's various organizations that all sponsor families. Fire department sponsors families, different people and individuals sponsor families. It's a really nice way to make sure that that's a special time for all the kids in our community. So.
And the families can kind of dictate if we're in really need of fundamental needs, or if you might need some more, gift things. And so they kind of put themselves into 2 different categories, and then the sponsors are planned accordingly based on what the
And
families
it's
do.
confidential, so
100%.
they don't always know who the people are. People are very appreciative. I've always been there distributing it when it comes, and they're just so excited, so it's nice to see.
The last category of charitable endeavors are our food drives. Our schools hold annual food drives and fundraisers to support the Amery Food Pantry and Parnell Memorial Humane Society, and that's been going on for decades and decades. So there's a lot of that happening, and that's throughout the year, not just during Christmas time. So these are just a few ways that the district connects with the community to provide for our families and for their kids. It's a partnership that we value and we will always value. It's just what we are about here in Amery.
I asked Sean to prepare this about a month ago because I have people that reach out to me and ask me, how can we help? How can we sponsor families? How can we make sure that families in the district are taken care of? And I think when you look at these, and we're thankful for the programs, but it always strikes me to hear how needed they really are, which is always the sad part of that, is that there is such a need. The shining star in that is that we live in such a great community that recognizes that there's a need and continually steps up for that need. And it's not just every month that we talk about all of the donations that we receive here as a district for education, but that this community really cares about each other, and given the chance will step up and support each other and its own people time and time again, and that's probably more than anybody could ever ask for. And it's one of the reasons that I chose to stay here in this community. Personally, witnessed that 30 years ago, and one of the reasons that I wanted to sit here in this seat, and the community never lets me go. So, thank you for
and not even on this list would be like, you know, all the angel funds that come in to help student programs that are, you know, Lions Club and the Women's Women's Club and all the other donors that bring money in. And those funds are invaluable to provide all kinds of things, from eyeglasses, shoes, clothes, field trip fees, things that kids couldn't afford.
I would say it's safe to say we've been a lot more liberal with those funds in the last couple of years in terms of actively trying to seek out families that we know need assistance. You know, buying coats, hats, gloves, and things that you don't even think twice about it now, especially if you get a tip from a teacher, a counselor, a mom calling and asking for help. Don't even think twice now, because those funds have grown.
It's really been a snowball effect for people to see the donations that in the programs, especially the Angel Fund, and knowing what those things are for, and the idea of breaking those up into 4 buildings so that to make sure that those are opportunities equally across the board, from our littlest learners to our almost our graduates. And so even buying cap and gowns for kids that are literally just on their way out to the world to start making it on their own. So always grateful, and especially this time of the year, always grateful for this community.
So you'll have an opportunity to accept some of the donations and grants at the end of the meeting that Kirsten talked about, and move on with the agenda.
Thanks for putting that together. Thanks to our community. Moving on to the consent agenda items, and who had vouchers this month?
I did, and I looked through everything. Everything looked good. So I would make a motion to accept the consent agenda items.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded to accept the consent agenda items as presented. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda items as presented, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, please signify by saying no. Motion passed. The consent agenda items are approved. On to the administrative reports.
Josh, go ahead.
All right, well, I always tell people the window from Thanksgiving to Christmas is always one of my favorite times at the school. It's a quick window, you got something to look forward to. But going to my board report, we get fall winter band concerts, choir concerts, jazz band concerts. And that's the reason why we're here on a Wednesday and not a Monday, and of course, when we're not doing that, we're at sporting events. You know, it's amazing how fast the month of December goes because of all these wonderful events that are going on.
Future events here, sending the choir off to Golden Age Manor to do some caroling next week. They're trying to go with our strategic plan of having more connections out in the community. Carrie Moskell does such a great job with the kids, and they come back just loving their experiences with that. December 23rd, we're going to do our second practice ACT test of the day in the morning. We'll do some fun activities, send them out of here with smiles on their face at the end of the day. One thing that we're doing with the seniors that day that I really wanted to highlight, we're doing, because they're not taking practice ACT tests, they're not done with that, we're kind of doing, we're calling it like Senior Adult Preparation Day. And we've got some really neat things going on. The morning is going to start off with Amery Police Department and Polk County Sheriff's Department are doing a presentation on safe social media presence and making wise decisions regarding your phone and some of the dangers associated with that. After that, we've got a financial simulation going on in Wisconsin. Craig is bringing in 20 volunteers from the community to work with our kids and go through a financial simulation. We also have a separate game that we're going to be doing with the kids on financial literacy. Amery Housebound Clinic is sending in someone to present to our kids on common stressors for graduates going into the adult world. We're excited about that. And all the kids that stay from the start of the day to the end of the day get put in a drawing for a $500 grant that is funded through incentive grant funds. So a little bit of incentive to hopefully try to keep these kids to understand the importance of the day. So we're excited about that. And of course, lots of winter sporting events going on. Head out to the rink, gym, virtually any night, Monday, Tuesday, Thursdays, and Fridays. You can watch your kids in action.
All right, the middle school, just on Monday, we had our winter holiday Christmas concert. Our 6th grade band performed, our middle school jazz band, and then our middle school choir, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade choirs. Our kids, they were outstanding. Mrs. Rose Lundgren, Mrs. Moskell, Mrs. Sunderland. We had standing room only. If you were there, we had to.
Did you give up your seat?
Of course I did. I was the one that tore all the ropes down and said, "Everyone go sit down over here." And then we still had standing room only. So just don't tell the. Oh, we won't go there. Okay. It was great. They did a nice job. So it's really fun. And I oftentimes will poke my head in and listen to them. And you're listening to different parts, and sometimes it's really nice just to hear it all the way through in their most polished form. We're going to be kicking off our middle school Genius Hour project-based learning program, and they're kind of getting ready now. Our community's fast at it, and then in February we will be doing our kickoff. Middle school goals, we'll be working on our goals, and kids will continue to talk about different things that they want to do to better themselves, whether it's at school or at home and in their activities and sports, things that they want to do to become strong young adults. So we'll be revisiting those midwinter time. Storybook Theater kicks off coming up, and that is for kids in grades 3 through 8, and they'll be doing The Little Mermaid, and so that should be pretty exciting. I'm real excited to go see it. It'll be my 29th one, so.
Came a little long in the tooth there, aren't you, Tom?
Middle school wrestling and the girls, our basketball will be coming up. We're in the middle of boys, and now we'll be starting wrestling in the girls basketball. We have our Warrior Way celebration on Friday, and be fun way to do some holiday celebrations, but also talk about the importance of our Warrior Way being responsible, respectful, and safe. Fast bridge testing will be happening pretty much district-wide when we get back. And again, that's in reading and math, and they'll be doing a benchmarking to see where kids are at. We make decisions based off of that data. Do we have kids that need new interventions? Maybe we missed. Maybe some kids really made good growth. It gives us an opportunity to take a look and drill down into programming. The cadet band has their lock-in on January 9th, and that's a pretty big deal. It sounds like it's not just fun and games. They do have food and games and activities, but they also bring a band clinician in, and they get to learn from this band clinician. So that's pretty exciting time for those kids. And then we have in-service coming up January 16th. And district-wide, we're going to be doing some PLC work, we're gonna drill down into our curriculum alignment and do some pacing. And really what that means is that, like, we all have these essential standards. We have standards for every class. What are the standards for each discipline, each type of course? Where is it going to be taught? So that our pacing and our
Scope and
scope and sequence is all in play. What are the assessments they're using? How do you determine whether a kid is meeting proficiency or not towards it? What are your rubrics for it? And they're going to be laying that out for all their courses throughout the whole year. It's going to be more than, obviously we won't get it all done in one day, but it's going to be things to kick that off. And we usually revisit that about every 2 to 3 years. So they're not completely reinventing the wheel, but it should be a good experience. And then otherwise, we also have, each building has other things they're working on. We're gonna be working on school safety, and some things like that at the middle school, doing that kind too.
Are we gonna at least acknowledge Jess's stuff?
We'll move on to you.
Oh,
Jessica.
wait, I didn't know the process.
That's okay.
Yeah, we just give it in the report, so then
Okay.
we'll go meet her
Thank you,
later
Maria.
if she left
Okay.
anything out.
Got it. So, one thing that is, I guess, new to the school, I asked for our school counselor to figure out, can we have a second grade leadership group? She's like, oh, yes, absolutely, let's do it and let's see what that looks like. So when we talked about, to revisit back to when we talked about funding, giving families food when there wasn't any, like when those things were shortage, the second grade leaders were actually the ones who were bagging up all that food when it came in. And they were making it ready for them. They didn't know who they were going home to or anything like that, but they were making them. So we're giving them leadership opportunities and ownership in ways that are meaningful for an 8-year-old, right? You know, but still they're doing some good things there. They're counting tickets, they're creating hallway decorations, they're really trying to set the vibe and the feeling of a space that they feel is theirs, which it is theirs. So I've been very pleased with that leadership group and what they've been able to do. And they do morning announcements every single day, which is pretty incredible too. Holiday and events and engagement. We had our family holiday fun night, which was a wonderful thing. We had Santa Claus and Mrs. Claus there. It was a great time. Some good storybook reading, some cookies and crafts in different parts. And families seem to enjoy what the event was. But if we kind of dial it back to the holiday before December, we did have some fun when it came to turkey bingo, and I found out I had some big shoes to fill. That Dr. Derfler in his seat as the principal actually dressed up and went a live stream as a turkey.
I did.
And the staff said, what are you gonna do to top that? And I went, oh man, this is some big shoes to fill, right?
Thank you, Pastor.
The bar's high.
Yeah, Buck was high. And so with the help of Annie Brayton, I pre-recorded 5 different characters that called out bingo, and then it played in fun different ways with backgrounds and music sounds, which included Detective Drumstick, Granny Gravy. She really liked her little mashed potatoes. Accents weren't as great as they could have been in some or the others, but we still went for it. Chef Cranberry, Coach Cranberry, but my favorite was DJ Gobble Gobble. That was fun, and there was a mic drop at the end. Oh yes, it went for it. The kids absolutely loved it, and it was really fun because the teachers didn't know it was happening either. So when all of a sudden they went to play the video and they went, oh my God. And I got the privilege of being able to walk around while this was happening and see the reaction. So it's been a fun time. And with that momentum going, if you have a younger child in your life, whether it's a grandchild, whether it's your own child, you know the elf on the shelf is a big deal. It's a big deal in their world. So we've had the lean elf that has been up to playful mischief each night, and the principal just can't catch this elf. Curiously enough, the elf looks like the principal, so the kids look forward to the picture every morning. It's been happening every single day in December. Some are now starting to draw traps of how they're going to trap the elf. Their teachers have used it as an incentive for them to get their math work done. If you don't do your math work right now, we're not going to look at the picture of the elf for the day. So I'm like, great, keep doing it. But the hard part is I have not told a single kid I am actually the elf. So then they're like, you're the elf. I'm like, no, I'm not. This elf has stolen my face. We need to catch the elf.
Identity thief.
They have magic powers, and kids, they're still innocent and pure, and they believe it. But then some of the second graders come and they're like, it has the same watch band as you. I'm like, So then the watch band disappeared for the next pictures. But that will conclude next week with the kitchen staff has been also playing along, and they have an elf trap that has different stuffed animals caught each day. They're like, we can't catch the elf, but there's caught a gingerbread man and different various characters. So the kids are really getting into it, so are the staff.
Did you tell them that the elf likes French silk pie and then you could catch the elf?
Well, they kind of plans, and I don't know how I'm gonna get saran wrapped in the end, but I guess maybe saran wrapped in breakfast on the last day. But I don't know what the trap was gonna be to get me there. We'll see, but
You have to remember, this is your first year.
I know.
You're setting the bar
I
here.
know.
So
Next
next
year's
year.
on 2-year rotations, they'll forget, right?
Your turkey seems pretty silly now, doesn't it? It does.
Yeah, take that, you drive a turkey.
But it's not all fun and games. Yes, there's a layer of fun, but we've also been doing we've been making some big moves and some big changes at the elementary school as well. And one of the things when I came on the team was we need to figure out a different way to handle assessments, because at the elementary level, when we go to assessments that Tom talked about is January, sometimes it requires 4 subs for us to execute that. And so it was, how can we do this effectively and efficiently with our own staff so our kids feel supported, we stay in our culture and don't have such an interruption, and also help the district function and flow without us taking 4 people times 2 weeks, right? And so I've been very, very pleased with my team. We've had lots of conversations, lots of collaborative thinking, a lot of creative thinking. This has been a month rollout of let's talk about it at leadership, take it to your PLCs, talk about it at PLCs, bring it back, keep to the drawing board. And I'm really proud to say we've been able to figure it out with only needing 1 sub for our systems. Now we're gonna reevaluate how it works, but the team feels really confident moving forward that they've had a voice in the matter and that they've been able to be a part of the creative problem solving. So that feels really good that we've been able to accomplish that big task. We'll see how it goes in January, but my hope is that helps the district out as well. And then finally, the other big lift that we did real quick is we realigned our report card. There was some language that was kind of all over the board, whether it was an I can statement or an actual standard, but we made it so if a parent is looking at a report card, whether the kid is in kindergarten through 5th grade, they all look the same. So we aligned it and designed it to look exactly like the intermediate schools does, including layout and formatting, and how we categorize each of the different domains. And Aaron Osoro was a huge, huge help in that, because that's not an easy process. The teachers need to bring all of their changes to the table of this is what we're actually doing, here's how we can assess it. And then Aaron needs to go, okay, now how do I make it look pretty in a reader format, right? So that was a huge rollout process, and I'm proud to say that they were able to execute that for report cards that went home last week. And it went very smooth, so those were we're having fun, but we're also getting work done. And then winter break coming up soon, and we've got family reading night on January 29th, in addition to some of the other things that have been mentioned, whether it's in service or the testing that's coming up.
Can you do one granny gravy accent?
Oh, great. Right now, I'm feeling like I've got a Delta Dawn accent going on. With my voice,
Alright, well, I agree with you.
DJ Gobble Gobble was pretty good though.
So these are recorded.
Oh, they're
Obviously.
recorded. I'm shocked you haven't gotten sent one,
I was
because
gonna say.
here's what the
how
staff
to get
did. They sent it to their other teacher friends and said, would your principal do this? And I'm like, you can't disperse these things. Like,
Well,
these
they
are
did.
for, but they did.
It's okay.
So this is an opportunity for our principal is cooler than your principal.
I think that's what they did. It was even fun when one of them showed it to their elder mom, I think it was in their mid-90s, and they went, it seems like she's just a really fun lady, is what's her statement. I'm like, oh, thanks, Sandy. I'm glad your mom thinks that way about me.
We're glad we have the fun lady on board.
Yes.
And then obviously Abby is not here as well. What's wrong with these people? They think they can just get to
No.
email it in December? What's going
Good
on?
reasons.
All
I
right.
can tell you they'd much rather be here than where they are.
Yeah, I'm sure. do you have anything with that administrative report
I do
this
not.
time? Okay, then I guess we get to move on to building and grounds.
Okay, well, we were scheduled to meet as Building and Grounds Committee last Wednesday, but we got snowed out. But I do have an update that piggybacks on what we talked about last time, the high school roof. Spoke with John Hunick, who is our contract manager in essence for Carl Sanderson, who had conversation with LHB employees, who was our architect. And we have an agreement that the roof will be addressed by the crew that installed it. And we'll have to wait until late spring, early summer to do that, and that we have some snow up there now. They have assured us that they are going to take care of that when the weather is allowing us to do that. So that is a step in the right direction. Where we left it last time is let Carl Sanderson do their job, and I believe Carl Sanderson and LHB have done their job. And now we need a subcontractor that works on roofs to go ahead and do theirs. So we're gonna have them come over here and do that again. So that's the update I have for you on building and grounds. Unless Larry or Steve have something else, I don't have anything further.
Good news,
It is good.
very good news.
We're working with very reputable outfits, and they understand we are a valuable client of theirs, and we have a long-standing relationship with both, and we would like to continue that relationship.
Yeah, so we needed to make sure that that was done right, obviously at no cost to the district. That is something that they are going to stand behind, and we will see how that goes in the spring. And I know that you've made the commitment to yourself and George overseeing that work.
We are going to.
And we'll be leaning heavy on our building and grounds committee guys to be up on that roof as well.
We'll be up there more than Sean, I bet.
I'll get
like it up there.
I don't like it up there either, which is why we're leaving it on you guys.
I'll make it happen.
All right, moving on to the informational items then, strategic plan update.
As promised, we try and connect strategic plan when we can to the spotlight in education. We are successful in doing that this month. You'll notice there are two colors. There are yellows and there are greens in the strategic plan. And on the back of that first page, you'll see a variety of items that are highlighted in yellow, which speaks to the charitable donations and charitable endeavors that we are connected to as a district. And that is ingrained in the strategic plan. That third point there under successful students foster safe, supportive, and responsive learning spaces where students feel safe, valued, and connected within our school community. Strategic goal number 3, strengthening the bridge between home and school through open communication, mutual trust, and shared responsibility, working to ensure every student succeeds. And in addition to that, empower families by expanding opportunities for their active involvement with strong emphasis on fostering partnerships with parents and guardians to enrich student learning and well-being. And then on strategic goal number 4, we have 2 items there as well. Build robust community partnerships to expand internship opportunities and promote volunteerism through diverse events and activities to support student success. And lastly, increase opportunities to partner with local community members and businesses, strengthening connections that benefit both our students and the community. The green portion is a whole nother topic. On January 7th, we're going to do our annual district and school report card presentation. And the strategic plan, as you see with the amount of green that's here, is very much connected to the results of those scorecards. And everything you see noted in green is a strategic plan element that's connected to the report card. So when we go through that presentation, we're going to eventually, in the month of January, get to strategic plan. We're then gonna connect this back to what happens on January 7th. Because we don't have a whole lot of district-wide or building-wide data points that we can use and connect to a strategic plan, but those in the report card are very much able to allow us to do that. So that's what we'll have for the strategic plan in January. Any questions you might have for me?
No, and obviously, listening to the administrative reports, Josh talking about the caroling at the our nursing homes, and you talking about the second graders packing food items. Obviously, just something that is building that bond between our students and the community is something that we clearly hope that we work with here on a very regular basis, and something that was really important in that strategic plan when we talked about that. So thanks for making sure that what you're doing is aligning with the goals of the district, and then obviously they just lend themselves to be pointed out at those times. Any other questions for Dr. Dorfler on the strategic plan? Comments? All right, off to the school board election, April 7th.
Okay, we are obligated to provide a notice of election in a variety of ways, and this is one of those ways, so bear with me as I run through this. The election details are as follows. Notice is hereby given that a school board election is to be held in the school district of Amery on Tuesday, April 7th, 2026. The following school board offices are to be elected to succeed the present incumbents listed. Office, position at large, incumbent Steve Osero. Office term, the term of office for a school board member is 3 years, beginning April 27th, 2026 and expiring April 22nd of 2029. A description of the school district boundaries can be obtained from the school district office. For candidates, a campaign registration statement and a declaration of candidacy must be filed no later than 5 p.m. on Tuesday, January 6, 2026 in the office of the school district clerk, located at 543 Minneapolis Avenue South, Amery, Wisconsin. A primary, if needed, will take place on Tuesday, February 17th, 2026. And that's all I got.
All right, good informational items there. And off to district branding and permission form.
All right, the district branding, you've seen the guidelines that are before you, but what you asked that the district put together is a permission slip, if you will. And Becky, with a variety of clicks here, is going to get right to where you need to be. And we have a permission form that requires folks to ask permission of us to use, in essence, our name, image, and likeness to be used for a variety of different purposes. So this is a very standard form that can be used pretty much for any endeavor that folks may have, but they need to get our permission to be able to do it. So now we can say, yep, you got your stuff in, you're good to go, all right, do your thing. So that's what this is, per your request.
But do we like that? Is it good? Do
It's
we like
excellent.
it? Okay.
Amanda does a very nice job. We're not above in the school district of Amery grabbing items from others that have done this before. Many of the items that you see here as part of this branding, it's the same issue everyone else is dealing with. And we've grabbed sort of the best of the best, so to speak, and shaped it and made it our own. But remember where we're at prior to this whole conversation. We had nothing. There are no parameters whatsoever, and that just wasn't working because it was wild, wild west. And we needed to have this in place in order to have the guardrails put on, so to speak.
Perfect. Thank you for bringing that.
You are welcome.
That I think will help just streamline the process a little bit
Yes.
for everybody, that everybody knows is being held to the same standard and the same assessment of what they want to use that for. Okay, off then to our action items, and that takes us to early graduation request with Mr. Gould.
We've got the annual early graduation requests. Last year, I think we had 13 at this time. We've got 16 this year. Variety of things. The process, their parents have to write a letter on their behalf, meeting with school counselor, explain what's going on. We've got some new kids to the district that they just want to finish things up. We've got some kids enlisting early in the military, and we have some kids that are working full-time hired jobs out there for them. They all have plans supported by their parents, which is the key endeavor here, and most importantly, they've all met the graduation requirements. So.
Again, those are kind of anonymous to the board. We don't make decisions based on who these people are. We trust the fact that the process has gone through, and again, the parental issue that they've all been signed off on with their parents, and then they've verified at the high school that all of the requirements have been met. So do we have entertain a motion to approve the 16 early graduation requests?
I will make that motion.
April,
Second.
seconded by Gwen. It's been properly moved and seconded to approve the 16 early graduation requests on recommendation by Mr. Gould. Is there any discussion?
I'm just curious, you said there were 16 requests. Is that typical?
I would say it's increased yearly here, going back to, I just referred to 2019 now, I don't refer to it by anything else. Yeah, we definitely have seen an increase since then, and I think a lot of that also has to do with, and this is all the area principals that I've talked to, same kind of trend, but I think we also have fewer kids going into college now, and a lot of kids going right into the workforce, you know, one of those pendulum things going on.
I was just curious.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All of those in favor of approving the 16 early graduation requests, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, please signify by saying no. Motion passed. The early graduation requests are approved. Off to clubhouse rate increase with John.
Yeah, so, you guys, this will start the John portion of tonight's meeting. So what's in front of you here is just a little bit, there's kind of two different components to this. One of the conversations is revolving around tuition, and then the second part is just a little bit of a program change. So this is stuff that's been worked on with Rachel, who's done 99.9% of the legwork in collecting the data here. So if we go to the next slide, really what this is, and I do have to admit, Rachel pointed out a typo here under Osceola Care Bears. Those first two numbers, just flip them. It's 240 for infants, not 235 and such. But as you can see from just looking at some of our closest school district supported, and then one of those is a private facility, kind of where we're at tuition wise. Why are we bringing this to you now? Well, we talked about last month, and one of the issues that is chronically facing childcare is we're always trying to meet ratios. Well, meeting ratios means increased staffing means increased cost. Increased cost, unfortunately, is just a nature of the business. So as you can kind of see from this, we have been very underpriced as far as this is concerned, and I will add one more caveat to this first slide, which is St. Croix Falls we do know that they are also seeking a tuition increase as well. So although we're fairly close to them right now, you can see we're a little bit behind the curve as far as and again, I do want to point out the Grove is a private institution, right? And I just want to make sure that's noted. So if we go to the next slide, so what I've done is I've created 3 different proposals. So for increasing these, and all of them are going to tip the needle, but you know, some are going to change the financial picture of child care a little bit more than others. So the first proposal A, which is a conservative adjustment, would be an increase in essentially $15 for infants, $10 for ages 2 to 3, and $10 for ages 3 to school year, and this is per week. Proposal B, which would be the market average, which would be what I would recommend at this current junction, would be a $30 increase over the current for infants, a $20 increases for ages 2 to 3, and a $20 increase for ages 3 to school. And I do want to mention that I think this should be done in 2 phases. I think that it should be a small amount now that's effective January 1st, and then the remainder coming in at the beginning of the summer. Just because I do realize that 30, 20, and 20, that is a large pill to swallow, especially for those who have multiple kids in the district. And then proposal C, which would be putting us towards the top, but not quite the top, would be increasing $45 for infants, $30 for ages 2 to 3, and ages 3 to school age $25. So I will stop there to answer any questions you guys have revolving around the tuition for our non-school age kiddos.
What gets us closest to meeting expenses and cost of running the daycare?
If I'm being a fully transparent, C, and that's just based off of ratios in an ever-changing childcare market. You know, it's a steep price to pay for childcare, but like I said, it is competitive, but it is still below the highest. Now, with that being said, the reason it's not my recommendation is again because you're talking about a difference of hundreds of dollars potentially per month for our families, and that's just a price point that some families can't afford. And so my personal belief is the whole reason we have childcare here is to be a semi-affordable option, and we are one of the only options. So although we have to weigh those scales, you know, that's why I would propose B.
And John and I have talked, there are two things at play at the same time. We have to make sure we're respectful of our parents at the same time as we are seeking to balance the budget. I think C would price some people out of the market.
Yeah.
I think B is a much more fair approach, and if it was done incrementally, I think it would be an even fairer approach. I think A, proposal A, it simply doesn't move the needle much in regards to where everyone else is at. I think B puts us where we need to be. That would be my recommendation, but again, this isn't my choice.
And the next two things we're gonna discuss is also gonna help move that needle forward as well. So this is not what we're talking about as far as an end all be all for helping kind of balance that budget a little bit better. So Becky, if you wanna go ahead and go to 2 slides. So the next side of it, which, you know, I don't wanna minimize because we are caring for how many kiddos do we have after school right now? 60 something?
We have 82 enrolled,
Eight,
but
yeah.
they're not all full-time.
Yeah. So is also our before and after school current tuition. So as you can see, some of the school districts are a little bit different that we were able to get, you know, ascertain the information from, and obviously Milltown, the private institution, they don't do you know, a traditional before and after school care tuition. But again, the point is pretty clear here. We are priced significantly lower than the vast majority of other school districts. So my recommendation, which is on the next slide, is a fairly, I would say it's a fairly modest recommendation, which would be increasing from $37 to $40 for a non-school day. Getting rid of the activity fee that we currently charge. So right now it's $32 plus a $5 activity charge, which gets you to $37. It would be eliminating that activity fee and just charging $40. Before school would be $11, and then after school would be $13, which would put us in the middle of that range. Any questions as far as the tuition side of things is concerned?
You might as well just take that last slide as well there, back in the mixed age classroom.
Yeah, so this is the last component of it. So, and I think we talked a little bit about it last month. This is more of an official version of it. So one of the problems that we do actually have the physical capacity from a space standpoint to take in an additional 20 to 24 kids depending on age group. The way we go about doing that is not actually building anything or anything other than simply divorcing our before and after school care from our license and putting that back on the school district of Amery. So logistically speaking, families don't notice anything. Kids are still doing the same faces are there. The only difference is it allows us for greater flexibility in our ratios for that. It frees up a large classroom for adding additional daycare kids. There's not a lot of additional costs that come along with the programming needs for that. Rachel's already put together all the activity cards, craft cards, all that sort of stuff. And this is something that we could implement pretty much immediately. Rachel has got the research and knows how to, you know, kind of make that official declaration to DCFS. I think there's one more slide, isn't there? Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay, great. So the only cost really associated with doing this is we would have to hire an additional 2 staff members in order to handle an additional 20 to 24 children. Rachel's recommendation, at least to try at the beginning, is making that middle classroom a mixed age, which still fits really good with ratios. Kind of the process of doing that would be reaching out to our existing families first and saying, hey, what do you think? Do you want your kids to be a part of a mixed age group? Would you like them to stay in their age-specific classrooms? Giving them that opportunity first before starting to make those calls off of the wait list. We do have a robust wait list. Now, I do want to admit and say this publicly, and we kind of talked a little bit, we do understand that the greatest need on our wait list is for infant care. And as much as we want to be able to do that, the problem is that that ratio is so tight that there's just no possible way to make any sort of actual kind of budget impact with doing those. So we feel for those families a lot, but we think that this is where we should kind of target, if that makes sense.
Do we have, I know the waiting list is long, so do we have 20 to 24 kids in that age group 2 to 4 that to be able to make that happen?
There should be.
Yeah, and it's not an overnight thing, right? I mean, this is not we go from no kids in that classroom during the day to 24 tomorrow. So I think it is, obviously it has to be done in stages. Those teachers have to be found first. We can't add kids before we have the teachers. So the teachers, at least one of them needs to be found first, and then we can start to look at filling that classroom. But
Please don't lose sight of the following point. In Rachel's time and Anita's time prior to Rachel, both have said to me, not just in passing, but very directly, the people that are on the waiting list, the kids that are on the waiting list are just the ones that leave their name.
yeah,
There are folks that don't even, when you say, do you have space? No, they just hang up the phone and they're on their way. And there are folks that are not even calling, knowing that we're full. So to fill 20 to 24, I don't think it's gonna be an issue.
yeah,
I think we'll have way more than that.
yeah, I would agree.
It is a huge need, not just in Amery, but everywhere, but it's a huge need in Amery.
And by divorcing the before school and after school, that would just put it back, kind of revert it back to the way it was when that first started.
Correct.
Yeah, and since, although Fund 85 and childcare is a separate business on the books, so to speak, we do not, they're paid by the school district of Amery, right? And everything is still school district of Amery. They just say clubhouse or they just say childcare. And so there's not this massive administrative change that needs to happen. Really, Rachel's just gonna tell them no, and then on the end of Rachel's title, we just have to add director of childcare / before and after school care.
I would still,
And she would still
I would still be
administering
in
those programs.
charge of the before and after school care as well.
Yeah, and I would add that also adds potential, although maybe not right now, it does have potential for other options or for other things, such as we've discussed this already with building administrators. Those before and after school care kids that are in this building could also remain in this building if we wanted to. So right now, any kid, they all get funneled back to the elementary school. They could remain in this building if we do it that way. And it just becomes a lot. In the summertime, it helps an immense amount. Right, am I wrong by saying that?
No, you are correct.
Yeah, it helps a lot because now we're not trying to maintain a physical space where all of these additional tens of kids can come in, so.
John, if you go with the mixed age classroom and once it's implemented, what would be the budget impact of that? Do you have a rough idea?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it would be a plus. I can't speak right off the top of my head. I have it written down in my office exactly what it is, but just for basic math, if you just break it out, if you just take the per child, divide that out by the amount of hours of care that they're receiving a year, it is a net gain as far as budget is concerned. It's not crazy huge by any stretch of the imagination, but that also depends on the teachers brought in. So if it's a teacher who has a family who's looking for benefits, it's significantly more money. Now, we can't hire based on those factors, so it's hard to pinpoint exactly what it would be. But having, it would still be a budget addition.
And don't lose sight, the benefit of having a child care environment to begin with is you could potentially have those kids as your students when they turn 4.
Yes.
And further, you know those kids and are educating those kids prior to the age of 4, which is exactly what we want. And we have a steady pipeline of kids moving through childcare right into our school system with 20 to 24 more. Maybe you pick up 15 more kids. Maybe they would ordinarily been ours anyway, but maybe not.
Yeah, and I think I think to Sean's point too, with the kind of the curriculum focus that they've had this year and continuing to work on that too. I mean, the goal is to be an early learning center. That's the goal. And I think that's everybody's mission as far as childcare is concerned, is less daycare, more early learning center. And so, that family that comes in that otherwise may not have even known Amery existed because they're 3-year-olds receiving care. By the time those kids hit 4, they're ready for the 4K classroom. Mom and dad have been in the building and they're familiar with it. So I do believe that Sean is correct that it would potentially capture more families as well.
Well, I think what would capture more of those kids to stay would be for Grandma Gravy to make some appearances.
Oh, I'll send you the video. Is it
So
okay
what's
for us-
on the table before you in regards to an action item is the rate increase piece. So however you want to weigh in on that is really the action item.
I like the fact that.
Sorry.
No, it's yours.
I like the fact that if we go with proposal B, that you're looking at a 2-phase implementation. I think that eases the budgeting for parents.
Yeah.
Because that's a pretty costly.
It is. And it's already arguably one of, if not the largest family budget items for families who need care for their kids is that side of things.
Well, I do think we need to address the situation, and I would move that we go with proposal B and the 2-phase implementation.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded to move ahead with the implementation of rate increase using proposal B as the guideline for the rate increase in 2 phases. Is there further discussion?
I'd like to revisit the stuff we talked about after that. So I'm good with the vote, but then I just want to clarify what I heard because my brain isn't catching every piece of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I do agree with Larry that it's been no surprise. I've been sitting here for 7 years and we've been talking about daycare expenses for and how the daycare is run, and it's always been the goal to try to move that to at least a standalone business, let's say, even though yes, everything is paid for out of the school district the way that it looks, but it should also try to stand alone and so that the school district and the taxpayers aren't subsidizing the daycare. It's always been a concern of taxpayers is that how much of the burden is being put on them to subsidize childcare in the area. I think it's been the goal of the district to move here to be a standalone, not to be profitable in the daycare world, but to be kind of standalone and take care of its own expenses. I think this is the way that we continue to make sure that happens instead of being 70,000 in the red like it was 7 years ago. If we could just at least break even on those expenses, I think it is fair for the taxpayers, although it's always mindful of those expenses that gets passed on to our parents who are taking advantage of the services. I think this is a good blend of both of those things, to be respectful of the taxpayers and standing alone business, and also that this is what comes with it, and you're going to look at this no matter if you're in a private daycare or here. But the one thing is that you're not getting here. This is a not-for-profit. When you're enrolling your kids in a private daycare, it's for profit. So I think it's a good blend of both. I think it's important to roll that out into 2 phases for budgeting issues. Again, I hate to do it at the time of where we're at economically for everybody right now, but again, again, we have to take into consideration our budget as well here, and be fair to the taxpayers as a whole. So I think that this proposal does that. Any other discussion? Okay, hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor of childcare rate increases proposal B, marked out in 2 phases, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, please signify by saying no. Motion passes. Go ahead, Steve.
So what I heard, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, what I heard was you're changing the license but not what we're doing.
Yeah, essentially. I mean, the basic, really quick kind of explanation here. Right now, because we have before and after school care tied to our license, we have a central classroom that is essentially free between, during the school day time. And that's because we have to meet both student to teacher ratio, and we have to meet space requirements. By removing that from the license, we no longer have to earmark that space during the course of the day for kids who aren't even gonna be there when they're in school. So that would free up that space, and that space, based off of its size, can accommodate additional kids.
Okay.
So by taking it off of the license, what it's essentially doing is they'll no longer have a home, if that makes sense, but they don't have a home right now anyways. The vast majority of the time, those kids are cycled in. There's some that are in the classroom, there's some that are in the gym, there's some that are on the playground, there's some that are in the cafeteria. And so the process, the faces, the programming, all of that's gonna remain the same. It's just simply pulling, it's just an admin move is really what it is.
Yeah, so I understood that, so I was right on what I heard.
Yeah.
The part that I'm hanging up on is if you remove it from the license, how can you still function that way? If it's removed from the license, how can you still have before and after school?
Oh, because the school district of Amery is legally allowed to have before and after.
That's the way it used to be.
That's the way
it was run as a community ed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Way back.
Yeah.
I mean, Tracy Hendrickson was the beginnings of this 10, 12 years ago.
I have looked into this, and there are several school districts that were licensed, and due to staffing issues and it's getting, for before and after school care, it's getting tighter and tighter for licensing. So they have actually opted to go out of the licensing, but they could, like, for example, the Richmond School District, they're not licensed. And I think in their care, between all of the schools, it's like 350 or 400 kids, but they still kind of follow the licensing guidelines. So they have the amount of teachers, like what a licensor, but you can count 16, 17-year-olds as a teacher. And when you're licensed, they are considered just a helper.
Okay.
Yeah, so the ratio becomes more or less what's responsible for us to do and not what we are required to do, because like Rachel just said, you compare a very responsible 20-something-year-old dedicated individual with more teens who are willing to work before and after school, and that program can really flourish as well in that regard.
Okay, then I have a logistical question. So if we take that large center classroom and we're making it as a 2 to 4 year old group classroom, are we going to work on keeping our ratio fairly constant, X number of 2-year-olds, X number of 3-year-olds, and X number of 4-year-olds in there? Because, sorry, if my child was the 2-year-old in there with 24-year-olds, I don't know that I would be overly thrilled. And teaching-wise, I mean, there's significant differences between 2 and 4.
Yeah, and I think the answer to that question is it depends. It depends on what's available. I mean, if we only have 4 4-year-olds on the waiting list, but we have 10 3-year-olds and we have 10 2-year-olds, that ratio is going to be a little bit different. But I also, I don't know that we're necessarily married to having a mixed age classroom. I think it was just an idea that Rachel had that maybe some parents partake in, and that can always be moved on the fly as well if need be. Go ahead.
I'd love to speak on this real quick, because if you think about one of the pathways that exists in the elementary and intermediate is a Montessori program, which is a multi-age space, which if structured properly can actually be great for the development not only of the 2-year-olds, but of the 4-year-olds as well. As a potential parent of a child in that room, I go, I'm actually game for this, right? If structured with intentionality and what that looks like. And I think, you know, as Rachel continues to plan this out, if she wants to talk about potentially infusing some Montessorial principles into the multi-age space to have it be more supportive of what's developmentally appropriate, I'm totally on board with that. And I think a lot of parents would be too, because when you first hear 2 through 4, it is terrifying. But if you hear, but it's done with developmentally appropriate steps and stages and structures, then okay, let's see what this looks like.
Harkens me back to old school daycare, which my mother-in-law did for many years, and very successfully, with multi-age kids, even just from the kids that she took care of that weren't school age yet, and then also had tons of them getting off the bus after school, and she was just one person.
Yeah,
So,
she was crazy. Yeah.
She was crazy,
Yeah.
for sure.
I think one of the things that one of the prerequisites to there would be several prerequisites to enter that building. One of the ones that we talked about was the kids will have to be potty trained.
Yep, and
And they have to be toilet trained, you know, before you know they could be in there. So again, that one there can also, you know, kind of move. The step one of this process is actually just pull the plug. And I don't even know that has to be board action, because I don't think it was board action adding it to the license, if that makes sense. And then phase 2 would be hiring additional staff, and then phase 3 would be filling those kids in. So again, this isn't an overnight thing. There are components of it that can be done rather quickly, but there's other components that are gonna have to be kind of.
I think back to the years on the board that I've had and seen social media posts of, oh, well, they're not even licensed, right? So then when we have these conversations, to be very out to the public, we do have a license, we're modifying what the license is built of.
Yeah, and that it also doesn't change that it's still the school district of Amery, so we still have high standards for whom we employ. We still have high standards, so it's not like losing out on the license is going to remove protection for us or the families, because we're all still mandated reporters. We're all still, you know, so those requirements don't change. It's just the like I said, this is more of an administrative paper thing than it is anything else.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Good
We need
points.
to vote on the school age rates.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Yeah, we still need to vote on the before and after school rate as well. Sorry.
Thanks, Becky. Look at you keeping us all in check as normal.
Keeping us honest.
All right, do I have a motion to approve then the, school age rates increase as well?
I would move to approve the before and after school proposal as presented for the increase to 40 on 11 and 13.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
April, it's been properly moved and seconded to approve the rate increase for non-school days and before and after school care for school age enrollees. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor of the rate increase, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, please signify by saying no. Motion passed. The before and after school rate proposal and non-school day proposal has been approved. Okay, moving on to our banking options. John, you're up again.
I know it says John, but I'd like to say
Okay.
something at the beginning of this. This is a rapidly changing topic that is of the utmost magnitude from a budgetary standpoint and from a logistical standpoint. We're talking about who and how our money is housed in regards to our payroll. payroll and benefits in the school district of Amery is about 75–80% of our budget. I want to be respectful of your wishes as a board, and I certainly want to be respectful of Pillar's time because they took the opportunity to be here to join us this evening for this conversation. I think the best course of action is to schedule a special meeting and just do that topic. And have each of those banks that are interested in this business with us to present to us what they feel we need to know to make an educated decision. Further, I would like to, as a district, be respectful of the request made by formerly Bremer, now Old National Bank, to have a conversation about what they have provided for the district for the better part of 3, 4, 5 decades. To be able to have that conversation per their request, they would like to meet with John and I. And we have a meeting technically scheduled for this week still to have that conversation, because I think we owe them that opportunity to share what their thoughts are, and that we've been working with them for such a long time. We're not making the decision, John and I aren't, but for 2 reasons I need to be able to have that conversation. 1, John's departing, and 2, I'd like a better working knowledge of what we presently do. And I think having a conversation with them would be helpful. But to the point that I originally began with here this evening, I think we owe it to ourselves to make a really educated decision and to have that just as the one topic, because that is a big decision. You know, and there are 3 folks that are interested in weighing in on that, 3 outfits that are interested in weighing in on that decision from this town. That's not a 15-minute deal in my mind. Just to go through one of these proposals is a half-hour deal, and this is big stuff. Those are my 2 cents, so to speak. I'll turn it over to you, and you can do what you will.
I think it's a fair comment, and I've had meetings with these folks too. We've been going through a similar process at my place of work, and to move a bank, there is so much involved. Everybody that drops an ACH now, or everybody that, you know, taps into a bank or is expecting a payment to come from a certain place, to get new checks, to, you know, it's a big process. It's not just, yeah, we're gonna work with this bank. And I actually had a similar conversation with Tony months ago, that I want to see what happens when Old National comes in. I want to have conversations with all of the banks. I want to understand who can provide what for, that's not only best for our family business, but then best for our employees and our vendors and so on down the line. So, you know, I think it's a fair ask.
Yeah, I just for kind of just general transparency as well, I do want to add that yes, I agree, this is a big decision. I really do. And I can say definitively that as far as the transition process is concerned, I do have, especially for the 2 banks that we currently are not banking at, I do have the utmost confidence, because we've spoken at length about it, what the actual transition plan looks like, the level of support, what the needs are going to be, and because we have a big fat software change coming April 13th, if there is there's really, in my mind, there's 2 big points that I would make as far as kind of expediency is concerned. The first one is, like we've talked about, we're going to be obtaining about 60 to 65% of our budget within the course of 3 short months. So having the ability to park that money with something at the highest possible rates is going to be important, because that's how we're going to offset any of the additional line of credit increases that we've had throughout the course of this year. Now, again, that timing is more February 1st, right? And that timing also really kind of helps to coincide, because after talking to banking partners, the smart play is actually to move payroll first. And I know that sounds weird and it sounds hard, But the smart play is actually to move payroll first, because payroll, in essence, on our side, is one transaction. It is one upload of one ACH file. It's actually on their end where something could get screwed up. It's not actually on our side, it's on their side. And because February, we are going to be taking such an increase because of property tax levy, it's a good time to start there and slowly work in, with the understanding that April 13th, we have a new system coming into play that's coming online, and all of the account information and everything's gonna have to be updated in there. And I also just wanna add, the process of making banking changes from our software perspective is a 5-minute process. We've already had to do it because Old National Bank took over Bremer. So we've already done it. Gretchen actually already did it. I didn't even have to do any of it. So the transition side of things does not concern me, at least, you know, and obviously take my word for what you want, but it does not scare me whatsoever. What does scare me is not getting pooled rates. And when we start talking about the differences between the 3 banks that are in front of us, that is one of the biggest differences. Is Pillar especially is matching LGIP pool, period, end of story. So if it's 4.695, it's 4.695. Bremer matches close. Sometimes they're more, sometimes they're less. But when we're talking about millions of dollars invested over a short period of time, 1/10 of a percentage does matter, or 100th of a percentage does matter, right? Because you're talking about some pretty big chunks of change there. So I just really wanted to kind of just make sure that I do kind of keep that eye on the ball, so to speak. And you know, this is kind of, I've kind of jokingly called it the year of RFPs, right? Because I think, you know, it's in our best interest to go to bid and go to RFP for all of our main things, mostly because it hasn't happened. So anyways, I just wanted to kind of mention that, you know, as part of this as well. And I am happy to go through these proposals with you guys. You also have them, and you know, kind of talk about like the differences and everything like that. But if you wanted to save this for a special session, that's your guys' prerogative.
My thought would be second or third week of January, well before we get to February, and have that special meeting and invite the 3 folks that are interested, 3 outfits that are interested, and see a presentation and make a decision at that time.
I think Sean speaks with a lot of wisdom. This is a big decision, and I want to give it all the time that it needs to make the right decision. So I'd be in favor of tabling any decision with regard to our banking options at this time.
I agree. I think it needs its due diligence, and I don't think that we would feel good about making that decision without weighing in, and I'm not sure that our taxpayers would feel comfortable with us making a decision in 10 minutes in this room tied to a regular meeting. This is not really regular meeting fodder, I would argue. This is more of a special meeting, but I do agree with the expediency that it needs to be done with tax, property taxes being due at the end of January, in that, kind of influx of money coming in, so.
Yeah, and I don't want to speak for them, but I'm guessing you guys can implement, if a change was to be made, rather quickly. I mean, we already have, I think, a lot of the framework already kind of laid out for if that's necessary, and those conversations have already been had.
Sure. I know January starts to tend to get full already, but would a preliminary, we're not going to set a date here, we don't have to do that, but preliminary, does anybody have any conflicts of meeting in January?
I'll
in that
work with
second
you.
week?
We'll
The
figure
only
it out.
conflict would be that we have our school board convention.
Yes.
The end of January.
But I mean, as a month as a whole, we're good that we can figure something out on a.
I'll broker that out, we'll figure it out.
Okay.
And thank you very much for your flexibility in light of the fact that you came here to be with us this evening. So thank you.
All right, do I then would entertain a motion to postpone this action until a special meeting session and date to be determined.
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded to postpone this action item until a special meeting time can be set, and all of our appropriate players can be invited to come and speak to the board so that we have as much information as possible. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All of those opposed, please signify by saying no. Motion passed. We will set a special meeting date in January to hear these proposals. It'll give the board some more time to look over these proposals that we have in front of us. Okay. Again, we're just making you work tonight, aren't we, Jen? We're going to go out with a bang. Update on tax revenue anticipation note.
Yeah, so just to kind of further help, just the ongoing cash flow stuff, again, the end is in sight. And, I think the plans for next year as far as how to manage that are gonna be really good. After talking with Tony and Sylvan at Pillar, I think it's in the best interest of the district, just from a cash flow perspective, to change the date, the maturity and the call date on the tax revenue anticipation note from back in October, or actually the first part of November, from December 15th, yes, I understand that was 2 days ago, to February 16th, which is this third Monday in February, because that'll be when we are the most cash heavy. So instead of making ourselves unnecessarily tight, to extend that date, so that we can make sure that we're just doing as best as we can.
Sorry, John, the call date would be when?
February 16th.
Okay.
We're getting out of the woods, but we're not out of the woods yet, if that makes sense. And so I just want to try to make life as stress-free as possible.
You are looking for the board to
So it's
approve
a fairly simple document. It's just a acknowledgement from two of you that we're just moving that date. So it just needs to be made by a resolution. So the resolution would just be a resolution to change the date from December 15th to February 16th, 2026.
Do I have a motion to approve the resolution for call date, adjusting the call date to February 16th?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded to, for the resolution to approve the call date on the tax revenue anticipation note from December 15th to December 16th. All of those in favor, please signify by, is there any discussion?
February 16th.
Yes. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor of moving the call date on the TRAN to February 16th, 2026, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, please signify by saying no. Motion passed. We will sign that resolution. Do you have it prepared? Okay, we'll sign that afterwards. And then off to appointment of WASB delegate.
Okay, we need a delegate to the Wisconsin Association of School Boards, and that's one of the 5 of you. And that's my introduction.
It's not me. I'll be in Vegas. So I think I'm the only one here that's done it, probably.
Yes.
You'll enter a big room with all the other delegates from around the state, and there'll be all these resolutions and motions that will be gone through in that packet. It can be looked at ahead of time, and the reality is there could be some discussion even ahead of going to that meeting, so that you are representing our district, and our board could have an opportunity to even tell you how we think the board should vote on something. And I don't remember how long it took, a couple of hours to go through the whole thing, but it was really interesting. And to be honest with you, I would love to go back and do it. It just always falls at the same time as this business trip, so.
Did we get the packet yet?
Twitter.
Oh, you
I just
have it?
did mine. You didn't see the big reveal. I went,
No, I was
I
writing
didn't see
notes,
it.
sorry.
it's as bad
I
a
missed
way
it
as I get.
So when I went down and did that, the board didn't have a discussion about what was in the packet. And there was a lot of school board members that would stand up and say, my board wanted to ask this question, or my board wanted to vote this way.
Well, those boards just didn't have as good a competent leadership as we did. And the trust in the leaders that we have on this board, that's what that was,
The
Steve.
year that I went that was my first year on the board, so I was pretty green when I went down, but
But we had faith.
yeah, thanks. So you guys are all going down there, right?
April, myself, and Gwen.
So it's you three, one of you gets to decide who's
Yep.
going.
So all you need is a nomination?
I would nominate Char Glenna to represent Amery
Oh.
as a WASB delegate.
I will second that nomination.
That's like picking up the check in a restaurant right there.
No kidding. Yes, I will gladly accept that nomination to be the delegate. Although one of you may end up having to step in, just depending on what happens, but I do have obviously some family obligations on the 20th, so just depends on what that looks like on the 20th. But I am registered to go, so if I am available to go, I will be more than happy to be the delegate. So it is the plan at the current time.
I think in the past, sometimes we have had an alternate designated. Do you want to formally identify an alternate?
No, I'll save the girls and I'll just whip them into submission if something happens. I won't know until the 20th. So if your phone rings, don't pick it up, I guess. So. And obviously we'll be meeting before in special session before this date arises, and so I could just have this prepared and just give you guys a brief overview on that, and I'll have Dr. Driffler add that to the agenda. It'll be a quick side item, even though we said this was going to be a special meeting for the school report card. We can
So that
quick,
meeting's
we
getting
can quick
longer
funnel
and
that in.
longer.
I know, sorry, we have a lot of business to take care of. Y'all thought this was going to be a quick meeting too,
Yeah.
but here we are. Gwen's over here like, I knew better. All right, we're getting to the end, so, all right, I will prepare.
Are you guys gonna take a vote on that, or?
I don't know that we ever needed to, it's just kind of an appointment, and it looks like they all came pre-planned, so there we are. It wasn't, well, she was quicker than I was.
That's right.
Okay, off to donations and grants.
Okay, you've already heard a little bit about the donations and grants, but here we go. Mississippi Welder Supply Company, thank you for awarding Amery High School 2025 Spark Young Minds Equipment Grant. And the grant included a Hypertherm PowerMax 45 sink plasma cutter, a shield helmet, and an air filter for use in the high school tech ed department. So that is the donation for the month of December.
Make a motion, we accept the donation.
Second that.
It's been properly moved and seconded to accept the donation of the plasma cutter from Mississippi Welder Supply Company with many thanks. Is there any discussion? What a cool donation. It always just amazes me what we get coming in the doors and for these kids to learn, so. All of those in favor of accepting the plasma cutter, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All of those opposed, please signify by saying no. Motion passed. The donation is accepted. Thank you very much. What a great opportunity for our kids. And off to personnel action.
Okay, personnel, new employment contracts, and letters of appointment for Kylie Black as dance team co-advisor with Greta Eggert as dance team co-advisor. Custodian April Crumley, athletic office assistant Juanita Rogney, high school girls wrestling coach Reggie Schlesner. Resignations of Eva Garas in clubhouse, Alicia Lee as media center paraeducator here at the intermediate, John McBride, director of finance. Terminations of Don Peterson, custodian, and Marissa Paulzine, special ed paraeducator, and retirement effective end of 25-26 school year for Tammy Winchell.
Okay, personnel action was previously discussed in closed session. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Oh, sorry. Can we have a motion to
Make a
accept
motion.
personnel action as
I will.
presented?
I will make that motion.
Okay, is there a second? Steve, you wanna take that?
Sure.
Thanks. All of those in favor of approving the personnel action as presented, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Begrudgingly. Aye. All those opposed, please signify by saying no. Personnel action has been passed as presented. And I don't think there's any community comments tonight. Looking pretty sparse in here. Do we have a motion to?
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded to adjourn the meeting. All of those in favor of adjourning, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All of those opposed, please signify by saying no. Motion passed, we're adjourned.
That's still a short meeting for us.
It is. It wasn't